credit report and credit score, full documents, a job letter or job contract, full documents, a landlord reference letter, full documents, any information with regards to banking, full documents, as well as any information with regards to automobiles and cars they might have, full documents, as well as personal references. And let's go through these one by one. If a real estate agent does not do the following things, then I think you should reconsider working with this individual for leasing purposes and seek alternative services or people. In today's video, I'm going to explain and describe the particular steps and my method, which I go through every time I screen tenants. Screening tenants is the most important thing, and as I tell all my clients, a bad tenant-landlord relationship can cost you a lot of money and time, and can also cause the tenants a lot of money and time. So it's in the best interest of everyone for the tenant to be actually qualified, because it's almost like entering a very bad marriage with a long divorce. Not that I would know anything about that personally, nonetheless. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realty Inc. back with another video. Please feel free to comment, rate, and review. My contact information is in the description box. Contact me if you have any questions about Toronto real estate and real estate at general, or at large rather. And yeah, please, once again, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. If you like this video, and if you don't, feel free to give me a bad review. How do I screen tenants? How do I make sure the tenants are right for this particular property, whether it's a condo, a house, a basement, whatever it may be? Believe it or not, the first step actually starts with the landlord. What I do is I sit down with the landlord and ask the landlord, what are your goals and aspirations with this tenancy? Obviously, assuming that tenancy is the right path for this individual. Maybe at times sale is better, at times neither sale or tenancy, just holding, whatever it may be. Because the landlord's goals and aspirations with a tenancy arrangement really does influence and affect the type of tenant we're curating and the pool in which we're looking for in the portfolio we want. For instance, if they want a 5-year engagement versus a 1-year engagement, even in certain scenarios, a shorter term, 6 months to 4 months arrangement, that affects the screening process. For instance, typically 5-year arrangements, 2-year arrangement, long-term rental arrangements, families are best suited for that. Versus student tenants are better suited for short-term to year-long contracts. Not to say there isn't any crossover, right? Obviously, families do take year-long contracts and students do take 2-year-long contracts, but generally speaking. And if I know we're going after students or families, or we want families or students, it affects the way I analyze and decipher for instance, some of the financial documents in terms of credit reports and credit score. Obviously, a student will have a shorter credit history than a family will. Once again, it does make a difference in how we analyze things in context. Once I have a good understanding of what the landlord wants, and let's say we list it for $2,500 a month, it's a house, a detached house, we list it for $2,500 a month. Tenants come, they see it, they like it, they agree to $2,500 a month. They want it for $2,500 a month. Let's get into the first steps of the tenant screening process. I will sit down with the tenants or communicate with the tenants, and I will ask them for the following things. First, I will ask them for a list of everyone who's going to occupy the premises, meaning whoever's going to live there during the term of the tenancy. And I will ask them for government ID or some sort of ID to confirm and verify the fact that these people will be actually the people who are going to occupy the property. Purely just to match the names with the faces. Because if I'm looking at a name on a credit report, I have no way to verify if this person is actually the person I talked to on the phone in person. It really doesn't mean anything to me. After they provide me with that list, I will furthermore ask for who's going to go on the lease, because not everyone who's going to live there is going to go on the lease. And I need information of the people who are going to go on the lease. Because ultimately, they are the ones who we owe certain responsibility and obligations to as the landlord side. They are the ones who owe us a certain set of obligations and responsibilities. Once I've confirmed everything, I've matched the names to the faces, I will ask the people who are going to go on the lease, I will ask them for the following documents. Credit report and credit score, full documents, a job letter or job contract, full documents, a landlord reference letter, full documents, any information with regards to banking, full documents, as well as any information with regards to automobiles and cars they might have, full documents, as well as personal references. And let's go through these one by one. Credit report and credit score, pretty straightforward. Now, the reason I want a credit score and credit report is because a score is just not enough. If you have a very good score, that means something's right. It can't be that you have something against you if you have a good score. But the reports, the history can reveal more information. So for instance, you may have a score of 820, but in your history, I see that you have multiple credit cards that you've nearly maxed out and you're paying the minimum payment, so it's not affecting the score, but you are somewhat in debt of up to, let's say, $5,000 a month just in credit debt every month. And we're asking for $2,500. I have to understand how you're going to leverage those liabilities against what you owe us. And by us, obviously, in this case, I mean the landlord, because in this example, I'm representing the landlord. So that's why the report is very important. And as I said earlier, students, I might not scrutinize the report as much, even though I will, because they might not have a long established credit history. Naturally, they're younger and they're students. One last thing to note though is that credit reports and scores, I always request certain credit agencies. Equifax or TransUnion. Credit Karma, not a big fan of Credit Karma. Where you live, it might be different services, but where I live and work, these services are the industry leaders and give you the most accurate reports. Moving on to job letter and contracts. Once again, full reports. Now, why do I say full reports? Same thing applies to the report, credit report, but let me use the job contract as why I want full reports. Because if I get 8 out of 10 pages, at times, and this might be very difficult for me and you to understand because there is a lot of good tenants, there's a lot of bad tenants, but sometimes the bad tenants do lie, and what they do is they send a job contract that looks good, but it's missing 2 pages, and they're intentionally not showing you those 2 pages because it can reveal certain information that in the long run may disincentivize you from taking them on. So it might be a certain probationary period, certain contract renewal date that they don't want you to see. And don't ever do this, because just because you have a contract renewal coming up or a probationary period does not disqualify you automatically. I mean, we're human. You know, I'm not looking for Warren Buffett to rent out a house. Once I look at your contract, I see how much your income is, do some quick math, combine it with the income of the other people who are gonna go on the lease. Then I do some more math, some basic finances to see, with all the information I have, your liabilities, your income, what we're asking of you in terms of the rents, maybe utilities is additional, whatever the arrangement might be. I do some quick finances to see if you can truly afford the property. In addition to these finances is the car. Now, why is the car important? Because automobiles and cars are one of the, outside of houses and real estate, one of the biggest income eaters of people. We spend a lot of money on food, obviously, but you'll be surprised how much money we spent on our cars, and especially if we're financing those cars. So if I see the cars you have, the models you have, and sometimes I can actually understand where you got the car from a dealership, and I do have a lot of personal friends in dealerships. I can understand if you're financing it and what kind of rate you're financing it. Then I have a better understanding of how much you're paying towards your car, and once again, if you can be able to afford the rent we're asking out of you. One last note on the job letter, I have to verify that you actually do work there and follow up with the references, meaning your manager's email or number. But sometimes I actually have in the past gone a step further to go through LinkedIn and personal Facebook pages that are open to the public, and once again verify that maybe your friend is not doing you a favor and saying you work at a location and your friend happens to be the manager and they doctor some sort of job letter for you. For smaller businesses, obviously you wouldn't have this big for big corporations, but I've had that in the past. And once again, it's very difficult for you to understand because you're probably a very decent, honest person, but like there exists many bad landlords who deceive and lie, there also exists many bad tenants who deceive and lie. But hopefully and thankfully, most of them are not like that, but I've had that in the past and I've learned. Moving forward, landlord reference letter. Now, I've made a couple of videos on this saying landlord reference letters are useless. Quickly to summarize, in those videos I argued that landlords, if you're a bad tenant, they're incentivized to move you out because you're costing them money, there might be a headache, so they're going to say whatever they can to help your case in moving out, to aid you in moving out so they can replace you with a better tenant. Or even if you're not a bad tenant, you're a good tenant, they want to replace you with a higher paying tenant. For those reasons, they're going to say whatever they can in the reference letter to support your case, whether it matches with reality and facts or not. But as a matter of formality, I request it anyways. What is important though is sometimes you do get an honest assessment from not the previous landlord of a tenant, but the landlord before that. Because at that point, they have moved on from you for a long time now, and they have no reason to lie or make a case for you against the reality of the matter, because they've replaced you already with another tenant if you happen to be a bad one. Lastly, I request personal references. Now, once again, same thing can apply for personal references, because you can have your friends put in a good word for you just for you to get the place. I don't really put much stock in those personal references. However, the reason I request them is because when I get to speaking to a couple of people that the tenant has put down for their personal references, you get conflicting stories, and with conflicting stories, you decipher some deceptions, and you get to see, maybe, no, I have to investigate this point or this matter a bit further. I can make a larger video about this story I'm about to tell, and I will, but shortly put, I had that where I spoke to many personal references of a particular tenant, and I got conflicting stories, and it got me thinking, and I investigated a bit further, and I realized this individual was lying about a certain pet that they claimed they didn't have, which was okay by us if they had a pet, but there was no reason for them to lie, and they felt inclined to lie, and they did, and I found it out through their conflicting stories. And yeah, that is the basic tenant screening process. There's a lot more details around the edges, but that should get the message across at a basic and general level. It's a case-by-case basis once again. I don't know how many times in this sentence I've said basis or basic. I think I said it multiple times. But yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to contact me with any questions. My contact info is in the description box. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. And yeah, subscribe, comment, rate, and review if you feel this was informative. Thank you.